Hey, this is Maru-chan. Thank you guys for coming this week. I'll be joined by Chan-chan and Omi-chan. Every week we'll be doing a podcast about a variety of things, from educational things for you students, like news of the day and word of the day to help improve your English and expand our knowledge together, and something recreational, like mini games, like fun things, introducing you to some songs, to mental health segments aimed to create a safe space community for everyone to share your worries and more. So DM us via Instagram, which the link will be down below. This week, we are mainly going to talk about Queen Elizabeth's national funeral being cheaper than former Prime Minister Abe's national funeral. So let's get started.
Okay, so what do you guys think of this news on former President Shinzo Abe's funeral being more expensive than this Queen Elizabeth national funeral? Any opinions?
Well, first of all, I was definitely surprised because I watched how the Queen Elizabeth's funeral went, and
Yeah.
it was the funeral was very, I don't know if this is an appropriate word to use for a funeral, but it was really gorgeous, and
Yeah.
I could obviously tell there were a lot of money working behind it, moving behind it. So I don't know if it is a good idea for the Japanese government to have a bigger funeral than that, when half of the citizens are against having a big funeral for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
Well, I think it's not necessarily a bigger funeral because, expense more money doesn't always give you bigger stuff. I think they're using their money for something else. But I agree with the fact that you said that more than half, around 60% of the people is actually against this idea of spending, like in this news article, it says 16億円 compared to Queen Elizabeth's national funeral that cost 13億円. And this is actually including the enyasu, the inflation that is happening in Japan. So yeah, I agree that we should, well, if they were to do this national funeral, they should at least put their costs down so that people would at least agree with doing this national funeral in the first place. So that's my opinion. What about you, Maru-chan?
I mean, I don't really know about this news, so I just knew it like a few minutes ago, and I'm still in shock because I kind of watched the funeral, the national funeral for Queen Elizabeth live, and it was crazy big. Like a lot of cars, a lot of like securities, a lot of people, and I don't know, like the I don't want to say performance, but I guess the whole process was a huge thing. So I just automatically assumed or thought that there would be a lot of money. And not that I'm saying that the Abe's national funeral would be smaller or less, I don't know, less I don't know how to explain.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, less gorgeous. I don't know, cause yeah, but yeah, it's a very I don't know if it's controversial, but I feel like a lot of people, like citizens, are against this
Yeah.
issue. I think so. That's something interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that the money, that big amount of money is coming from our money, like the citizens'
Yeah.
money. I think that's one reason why citizens are very against. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That makes
citizens
sense.
of Japan, I think, is already very angry at the fact that there are people sleeping during this kokai.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And if you add on to the fact that this costs more than Queen Elizabeth's national funeral, if you add these two together, I think, yeah, it is reasonable for people to actually be angry about this.
And also, I think, because Queen Elizabeth passed away because of her age, right? Simply.
Yeah.
But the fact that Shinzo Abe, he passed away because of an incident, like that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a huge
Yeah.
difference. Yes.
It's kind of weird because in Queen Elizabeth's national funeral, there was so many royal guards, right? Like
Way too many.
a lot, and they have to have these horses. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine how, like, the government of Japan can top that amount.
How did they even do that?
Can cost more than paying these royal guards and the security
Right.
in the UK. So yeah, I want to know where this money is going.
Yeah, exactly. I understand for Queen Elizabeth's because visually we could see that there's a lot going on. But
It's
for
large.
Abe, I don't know. Yeah, because if we know where that money that's been taken from us is going, then I'm like, yeah, okay, kind of reasonable, whatever. But we still don't know, so it's kind of a mystery.
They should be a bit more transparent, I think, like where the
Yeah,
money is flowing. Because
it's so obscure that
Okay, so changing the topic. I heard you guys had an geography IA writing time yesterday.
yeah, it was until 7 o'clock p.m.
past 7, I'd say.
Past 7. And
Whoa.
in addition to that, the Sobu line actually stopped.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Sobu line stopped at like
And
7.
Chilson too.
Really?
Wow.
Oh well, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
How was the geography IA itself was though?
Not that bad,
Not
I'd
bad.
say. I mean, because the whole idea was the teacher gave us this precious time for us to work on it because this teacher knows that we're going to procrastinate if we do it at home. So I think also a very productive time, I'd say. It was tiring, but good.
More productive than me at home.
Yeah,
Probably.
absolutely. Same here.
Whoa, I can't believe that because I would probably be distracted when I have friends with me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Distracted, but I feel that it's fun being around with your friends. Like, if you have any questions, you can ask them. Like, you don't need to go to your phone
Yeah.
type in your message, and for a moment you're doing your work. Then, like, before you know it, you're opening Instagram, you're opening Twitter, and all this stuff. So yeah, it was I think for me it was more productive.
Right. So talking about essays and writing long papers, should we move on to our next corner for the day?
Yeah,
I think we should.
we should.
Okay, so we are going to introduce you a new corner for today, which is words to use instead of very. So I think very is a very useful word.
Yes.
So we obviously use a lot, but when it comes to essays and official papers where you get your grades and stuff, very is useful, but it doesn't sound great. So we're going to introduce you some fancy words to spice up your essays and make you sound smart.
Mm-hmm. Put some topping on it.
Yeah.
The final dishes. Yeah. So what are the words that we can actually use instead of very?
So it really depends on what kind of very you're trying to use. Because, for example, if you want to say very often, when you want to say you do it a lot, then instead of using very often or a lot, you can say frequently.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. That's true.
Or okay, I recently heard my friends who are taking history class, they had to write in paper, and then in terms of like investigating old sources and stuff, instead of saying very old, like historians found a very old fossils or something, instead of using very old, you can say it's ancient.
So what about when I want to say very rich?
That's a good one. So maybe instead of very rich, you can say someone is wealthy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wealthy. That's a good word.
It's a very useful, like, if you when you struggle to find alternative words for very something, then I think you can just look up fancy words to use in an essay or stuff, and then a lot of like good alternative words that sound like smart will come up. And if you actually use it a lot in your essays, and if you actually look up the meaning and you actually try to understand it when you find a new word that you think you can use, that will also enhance your vocabulary skills. So I think it's a great way to study.
Yep.
True. Absolutely.
You can also search for synonyms, right?
Yeah. Synonym is always a good word.
Synonyms are like words that have the same meaning, but different. Well, two words that have the same meaning. And
yeah, I think it's 類義語 in Japanese.
Yep.
Yeah, and like now we just shared alternative words to use for very something, but if you simply want to use very in a sentence, but you don't exactly want to use the word very, then you could maybe say extremely, or immensely. I think that's a good word.
Yeah, that's a good word too.
Yeah. But the one thing to be careful, I don't think it's always a good choice to say it's to conclude that something is very blah blah blah, because it's always like nothing is always like 0 and 1. Like in an essay you gotta go in between like those gray zones, and you gotta draw a conclusion that's like I don't know how to explain this, but like you can't how do you say? I don't.
So like hedging languages, you're trying to say? Hedging languages meaning like your essay is a bit too strong.
Yeah, yeah. Like you can't say you can't affirm it. Like I don't know how to say this in English.
Yeah, like you put, for example, in your geography IA that we are doing right now, we shouldn't say this should be or this must be or.
Yeah, you can't assume that something is certain, or like you can't assume your conclusion is certain. So yeah.
So
you gotta be careful of the use of the word very.
Oh,
By the way, sorry. By the way, geography, I feel like not everyone knows what this is. So people are like, what the heck is GeoIA? Well, GeoIA is like this big, important assignment that DP students have to work on, like this in IB program. So if any of you guys were wondering what it is, that's what it is, basically. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's just a assessment, report assessment. Yeah, so another good or a recommended type of word that you should use are conjunctions and or but. These are very important words in English.
But there are so many.
Yeah.
And it's hard to memorize them all.
How can we memorize?
So there is a video on conjunctions, and it's very catchy. I think you would really like it. It's a song on conjunction. It's called Conjunction Junction on YouTube. I think you two have heard it before.
Yes.
It's like a national anthem for international students who are
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think by listening to that or music or video, you would happily remember what are conjunctions and how to use it. It may be a bit fast for those who are not fluent at English, but I think the more you listen to it, the more you will like it. So I'll leave a link down below so that you can listen to it in your free time. Yeah. Recommended 5 stars.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's our recommended song for the day.
Sure, yes. Please check it out. It will help you for sure.
Yeah, making words a fun thing to learn.
I wonder if they have like an actual like CD version or something of it. Or like I wonder if they have it on Spotify or something.
Spotify. Imagine people listening to that.
Yeah.
I
in
only
the
can
train.
find it on YouTube, so but the video is also funny. So yeah, listen to it. See, have a nice popcorn. It's only like 2 minutes, 3 minutes long, but
Yeah, it's very short. So,
enjoy it.
Yeah, we need something to enjoy while we're learning.
Yeah, once in a while, you need something.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, this is the end of the podcast for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. This week we focused more on the serious topics and some educational stuff for you guys and for us as well. Because, we feel like it's an important topic that we need to, talk about and expand our knowledge, hopefully. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Next week, we are planning on entertaining you guys with some fun mini games or songs, maybe. So yeah, stay tuned for that as well. Any comments? Okay. We will see you next week.
You'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Do we need comments?
I don't know. That's the point. I don't know how to end this.